Now we're going to talk about looking at audio. And I know you're going, looking? Aren't you supposed to listen? Well, yeah, there are 3 ways that you can look at audio inside Audition, and they are very helpful when you're doing some editing. So if you want to follow along, just bring in any old audio file. I brought in this one here, Vocal Excerpt Wave, from the working files. Music just couldn't be that way, subfolder, and there it is right there. Okay, you look at audio in one of 3 different ways. The names for those different ways, there's some disagreement about that, even in the help file. So I'm going to use my own nomenclature, and even though I'll use it, I'll probably mess it up sometime down the road too. But I'll just tell you my way of explaining these things that differs a little bit from the Adobe way. And the Adobe way is not necessarily consistent anyway. So here we go. This is the editor panel. And in the editor panel, you can view individual files like this, or a multi-track session. When you're looking at an individual file, Adobe calls this the waveform editor. But really, the waveform editor is 3 different things. And so to avoid confusion, I want to talk about this as the waveform view. And then if I switch over to something called the spectral frequency display, that's the spectral frequency display view. And if I switch over to this guy, which is the spectral pitch display, then we're talking about the spectral pitch display view, not the waveform editor. So I'm going to differentiate which one you're in by just saying it's a view rather than the editor. So here we are in the spectral pitch view. I'm going to go back to the waveform view here. There we go. Now in the waveform view, which is the first thing we're going to talk about, you see the waveform. There's how loud it is based upon the distance between the top peak and the bottom peak. And you can see how loud it is over here by this decimal marking here. It is about -5 decibels below full scale. Now this scale here is marked with dB, standing for decibels, but to be more accurate, it should say dBFS, decibels below full scale. That would be more accurate. It goes from 0 to -infinity. And from here, from 0 to -infinity. Remember, when it's going up, it's pressing against your ear. When it's going down, it's pulling away from your ear. When there's a line like that in the middle, it means it's silent. When you're working inside the waveform view, you're going to want to get a closer look sometimes at a waveform. You're going to want to zoom in on it because you're going to want to place your current time indicator very accurately to make an edit sometimes. So to zoom in, you press what people usually call the plus key on the keyboard, but in fact it's the equal key or this plus above it. That's at the top of your keyboard. Every time you press plus, it zooms in, and it'll zoom in wherever your current time indicator is located if the current time indicator is inside the view. I'm going to move this thing over where it's not in the view, and now if I start pressing the plus key, it's not going to jump over to the current time indicator. It's going to zoom in on the center of this window now. So that's just how that works. If I want to zoom out, I press the key next to the equals key. That's the hyphen key, sometimes called the minus key or the underscore key. Press that and I'm zooming out. In and out, the equals key and the minus key, sometimes called the plus key and the minus key. All right, let's say I want to zoom all the way out. There's a keyboard shortcut for that. That's the backslash key. The backslash key is right above the enter or the return key. I press the backslash key and boom, now we zoom all the way out. We can tell we're zoomed all the way out because you can see this bar on the top. The yellow bar goes from the far left to the far right. You can also get a clue down at the bottom. You can see that the duration of this clip is 15.516, and the duration of what you can see in the view, as it's called, is also 15.516. That's just another indication that you have the whole thing zoomed out full. You can zoom in by dragging the ends of this zoom navigator like this. That's one way to zoom in. Either end works. And you can navigate within the waveform view or the spectral frequency view or the pitch display view by just doing this as well. Same thing works there as well. All right. I'm going to zoom back out now and show you another trick that I use all the time. Lots of times you want to zoom in on a specific spot. And you can do that if you keep on pressing plus, plus, plus. Okay, eventually you'll get there, but there's a real fast way to get there. Let's say I want to see this waveform right there, just that little waveform there. I can right click up here in the time ruler. I'm going to right click and drag, and that will then make an outline of the area that will end up being displayed in this view. Watch what happens. We're going to get just that guy there is being displayed in the view. And I can move my little navigator up here, and there you go. Get that guy centered up. So that's one way to quickly zoom in all the way. I'm going to zoom out again by pressing the backslash key. You can also zoom in here on the decibel level. Let's say you want to expand your view of the decimals. If you right click here, you'll see a little menu that shows you how you can zoom in and out. You can use a keyboard shortcut. In Windows, Alt plus the equal sign. On a Mac, that's Option plus the equal sign. Whenever you see Alt in Windows, it's Option in Mac and vice versa. So you want to zoom in, it's Alt plus the equal sign as opposed to just the equal sign. If you want to zoom out, it's Alt plus the minus. And if you want to reset everything, it's Alt plus the backslash key. So I'm going to try that. I'm going to hold down the Alt key here in Windows or the Option key in Mac. Press the plus key. That zooms in on the decibel level. And use the negative key to move out. And then you can go to almost nothing. Look at that. There you go. If I want to go back to the default view, hold on the Alt or the Option key and press the backslash key. That's the default view. So let's say I zoom in on both things. I zoom in here on the timeline, and I'm going to zoom in here on the decibels as well by pressing Alt and going plus a couple times. Now let's say I want to just quickly get back to the default view. There's a little button up here. If you look at that, it says Control backslash. Backslash would get you back to the full view here. Alt backslash gets you the full view here. Option backslash on a Mac. And here, Control backslash or Command backslash on the Mac will get you back to the standard view in both ways. Get you this way, left to right and up and down. I'm going to switch over now to the spectral frequency display view. Now this is a remarkable tool in Audition. This is such a powerful feature in Audition. People get Audition because of this. It allows you to do all kinds of corrections, all kinds of fixes to noises and other problems inside of an audio file. What this is showing you pitch and the volume level for each of those pitches. And now pitches are not distinct, so it just shows you a volume level of a range of pitches. Now this is a vocalist here. That's the main pitch right there. The brighter the color, the louder that pitch. And then these things up here are her overtones. Let me play this for you.
I couldn't give what you were asking for.
So you can see that her pitch goes up and down a little bit, and those are all the overtones that make her voice so resonant and lovely. Over on the right-hand side is her pitch in hertz, that is the frequency, how many cycles per second for those various pitches. You know, human voice is like from about here to right about there or so. And so you can see that's the focus of this, but it's also the focus of this because it's logarithmic. Every little distance here, even though the distance is more or less the same, the numbers get bigger as you move along. That's a logarithmic scale. So here you are to 1,000, but up here is 20,000. So that's how that's logarithmic. You can make it non-logarithmic by right-clicking, and you can make either more or less logarithmic. Fully linear like that, then it's each 1,000 at a time. So therefore the range of human voice is all scrunched up at the bottom. Or you switch over here, you go to more logarithmic or full logarithmic, and all the bass range here is just really wide open, and you wouldn't really get much going on there unless you had just very distinct bass sounds. So I'm going to go back to the default display. Now watch the difference here for the keyboard shortcuts. They get kind of complicated. When you're looking at the spectral displays, be they the spectral frequency display or the spectral pitch display, you've got one more key to hold down if you want to do keyboard shortcuts. If you want to zoom all the way out, it's Control plus Alt plus backslash. In Mac, that's Command plus Option plus backslash. So if you want to zoom in here, it's Control plus Alt. I think you get the picture right, how that works. So I'm going to click away here, and I go Control plus Alt, and on Mac, that'll be Command plus Option, and then start zooming in like that. And if I want to reset it again, let's take up the reset shortcut. You can hover over there to see the reset shortcut. And again, it's all axes again, so it's the same one as before, Control or Command backslash to get everybody zoomed back out. But you can see this guy is still zoomed in because I told it to be logarithmic. So I'm going to be a little more linear, and then we're going to make it more like what the original look was, like that. Let's switch over to the spectral pitch display view. There we go. And this is similar to the spectral frequency display, but it emphasizes the main pitch here by putting a blue line on it. You can see that the pitch here is that particular pitch, and it shows the pitch over here by notes rather than by frequency. So if you look at that, you kind of slide across and you can, I'm not sure if that an F or a D, I can't really tell. So this is where her voice is right there. So I'm going to do something where I can zoom in on this right-hand side here by right-clicking and dragging. Just like I could zoom in up here and right-click and drag. When you're in the spectral view, be it the spectral frequency or spectral pitch, you can right-click in this vertical ruler, right-click and drag, and define the zone that you want to zoom in on from right about there to there. And now we can see the pitch a little more accurately. So now I drag across there. I can see that that's an E. Bum, 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 like that. And then it goes down here to about a B. Okay. So that's, you can see how that works. So you can hear her drop her pitch right there. Looks like she's going to drop it down to a D. So it's E to a D. Let's listen to that. So it goes bum, 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 like that.
I couldn't give you what you wanted.
And you can see her pitch. And this comes in real handy when you want to do some pitch correction. There's a pitch correction effect that uses this view and allows you to manually adjust these pitches, and you can see the before and after as you work here in the Spectral Pitch Display view. So that's a quick rundown on the various different ways to look at audio in Audition.